No, because I know better. I wouldn't do that because I would be following the rules, but I would be
So
afraid
you're
that
saying
some
God
people
Soccer
would.
can actually figure out the date and get them on that right date?
No, I don't know that because I've only attempted to put on, 11-year-olds onto the 2000 players that are already 11.
That's still my point, though. Somehow God Soccer can recognize their birthday and say, we are beyond this date, so I'll put them on.
You would think so. I mean, I can try to put a younger one on and see what happens.
No, I'm more interested in the older ones. In other words, that God Soccer really every day will iterate itself to add kids if you're correct. Right?
It should be, but I don't think they're that sophisticated.
Well, if they allowed some, they'd allow. In other words, where would be the cutoff then, where you said they wouldn't, God Soccer wouldn't recognize them? If it's February 1st, let's say they're a February 1st birth date and a August 31st birth date. You're telling me, well, August 31st, they might not do it, but February 1st for sure, it'll go through God Soccer. So God Soccer must have some iterative thing that tells them, oh, this date is okay.
They don't. They don't.
God Soccer does not, cannot see down to the birth date. They just focus on the year.
Well, yeah, so that makes me scratch my head when I hear we can enter fives in the 4 league. Because if they don't know the date, then you put a December and the God Soccer is going to say that's okay.
And that's my exact concern with making sure that this team is completely eligible to play in the 2004 division. That's exactly my concern.
But you said you've already done it with some, so it's obviously...
Sure, I mean, I can put them on the roster, but are they really approved to play in that group? I don't want to put, I don't want the state to come back and say...
Greg?
Say that again?
No, yeah. Well, I'm just asking Greg. Tomorrow, check out with Rosemary and give her exactly what this gal just told us.
Yeah.
For that scenario, say God Soccer is allowing 2005s to go to 2004s. Is it reading the date? Or are all of them just going to go through? And then we got to I'll tell you why that's a problem, or why I'm asking.
Got it.
Merritt said something interesting to me. We had an ineligible player at some point. And I said, well, why didn't the ref take a look at the thing? He said, the ref isn't checking. I mean, they're not checking birth dates. So the referee is not going to catch it at the field, which means that where is us as a league, where are we going to catch the fact that we've got a 2005 kid that was born in December playing in the 2014? Where are we going to catch it? Well, we assumed we're going to catch it in the rostering area. Now you're telling me, no, that's not necessarily so. So that's a concern, because now we possibly could have 2005s, 10-year-olds out there heading the ball in a 2004, one of our leagues, right? And God Soccer won't stop it. So where do we stop? We hope the registrar of the club checks it out.
I don't think you can count on that. That's my concern.
That's why I was asking for as a retort.
Yeah.
You know they can't.
I know. They can't. But why are the referees not?
We would be liable. A kid gets out there, he's 10. Something horrible happens, right? They look at us and they say, well, the league allowed him to play. Right? He's a 2004 league, in the League USA. He just came here, checked in. USA hires the referees, even though they're not our referees. And this kid then gets hurt, right, in the game. They'll come right back to us, and we'll be at fault with the system, the way you're saying it, which is amazing to me that there's no protection for us as far as the rostering part, That's what I always assumed that God Soccer, I know they were overcautious. In other words, Mike said in the meeting at the AGM, they were turning down kids, and they'll get that straightened out. But people had to go and ask for permission to do it, but he gave them permission because the God Soccer shouldn't have stopped. But he didn't say the opposite, that God Soccer did not stop some. And that we got to keep an eye on that. So the 5s to 4s are a critical question right now for me, because that means our entire 4 league, we're all going to have to check every roster, right?
And do you have to check it every week when you put club pass players on?
Correct.
Okay, so let me make sure here. What you're saying is that Got Soccer does not have a filter for
This line, offensive line is opening up holes for Rashad Jennings. Now, Weston Richburg, the center, he seals off the edge. John Terry once again. You get 74 Eric Flowers, and he just punctured this defense right in the middle. And that's disheartening for a defense.
Who's that, Alan?
Big man, we're going to come off ball, we're moving. That's what's happening.
But Greg, find that out definitely, because if that's a fact, that's a real bad problem.
Don't do that again.
I was assuming Got Soccer just was eliminating any fives going to fours unless Strickler approved it. But Melissa just said that he's gotten fives in all day on fours through FYSA
Okay.
this year.
All right. Everybody that's online, can you please message me through the chat function and let me know which club you're with, please, so I can have you checked in.
Yeah, hey, well, let's start the meeting. That was a great, thanks though, Malay. I really appreciate that.
That's why I want to have them do that, and we don't hold up the rest of the meeting, Paul.
Yeah, well, let's get moving.
Just everybody send me a chat with which club you're with. Thank you. Paul, you got meeting minutes. Can you see them?
Yes.
All right.
Who do we have? We've got, do we have a quorum?
You're exactly right.
You got Kai, you got Alan, and you got Brian.
Who are you?
That's it. It's 4 of us out of 7. So it's,
Why don't you point the gun down?
all right. Was one of you guys ask, make a motion to approve these minutes, please?
Make a motion.
All in favor of approving the minutes as seen here? Aye.
Aye.
All right. So the minutes are approved.
All right. Let me get the agenda right there. Hold on a second.
I hope you wouldn't come to this.
I can close that.
Yeah, I'm going to open this up.
And there's your agenda.
All right. I still have minutes showing on mine, Greg.
You don't have it shown on yours? Does anybody else see the agenda?
No.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
I'm able to see it.
I still have the minutes.
Yeah, hold on. For some reason, it stopped the sharing.
I see.
All right, hold on a minute. It says it's failed to start. Let's try it again. Great.
Melissa, where are you from? What club?
West Florida Flames.
Okay. So we'll attack that tomorrow.
It'll probably be a few days before we have an answer because
No,
Tuesday's the
I'm going to go
deadline.
right to Rosemary tomorrow. Rosemary and Mike, and tell them, hey, it's got
Good luck. Rosemary
Got
is
Soccer is
completely
allowing
over
it.
her head.
Well,
Paul,
that's all we got.
How's that?
I just want to let you know that Ron Jasmine from Winter Haven is joining by phone, okay?
Okay, great. Perfect.
You got that, Paul? You got the minutes?
I have the agenda up now.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go through the welcome. Welcome, everybody. We're gonna try and make this. We've got a couple of things in the executive session, but otherwise, I'll get to it in the report. Just welcome. We've approved the minutes. We've got. How about the treasurer's report, Greg? How up to date do you have it for this year?
No, not if you didn't eat your dinner.
I can. I'll have to run that. I'll have to run it, and then I can post it.
Post it on the website.
Yes, I'll run it.
It's got to be up to
on the
date.
website
We
tomorrow.
should have closed out August.
Right.
Yeah, we should have in the next month's meeting, Greg. We need to get at least August closed out.
Got it.
Now, our cash flow, so everybody's not concerned. I mean, the beginning of the year, the cash flow's ripe anyway. But
Can I say something?
junior boys, Alan, you got anything?
They are
Junior
close.
boys? Alan? Mike, have we got you? Have we got Mike or Steve here yet? All right, let's get to the president's report. I can tell you, I'll give you the report for all of them. The season started, for the seniors. So we're into the first couple games. We'll have, I guess, our third weekend coming up. For the juniors, the schedules have been. We anticipated this, but the schedules have been a nightmare because, for a variety of reasons, because of the calendar change. I think everybody was very careful about the composition of their teams and not sure about them. And sure enough, as we started to unfold, we've had a monumental amount of changes in a lot of these. The heading group in 2005's probably had 10 changes already as far as teams coming in or going out. We've had 2004 teams come in because they realized they had 2005 players in there. Now, if Melissa's right, we might be able to reverse that, Greg. Or who did we bring down? Was a Wesley Chapel team? The 2005, Sherry? Am I missing her? Is she not on?
She's there somewhere.
All right. Well, we brought one team down because they had 2005s on it and didn't realize it. Then we've had 3 or 4 get out of the heading part because they had 2006 kids. So we'll be done with it probably tomorrow as far as what we got so far. But it is the changes. I mean, the last change was just today. Another change in somebody not having a team or having a team or, not comfortable with what they have, where they want to go, And we recognize that this is an unusual year and that there's no format for us. They're not looking at last year's format. So we're really out in the wilderness as far as everybody feeling teams. Like 2005, there weren't enough teams to make a Premier League by itself because no one was apparently confident enough because they were not sure of their teams to put them in a Premier Division. Nobody wants to lose. Don't forget, we've got a lot of pressure on coaches now. Because we have, in youth soccer, as we know, we have customers, and the customers don't want to get the tar beat out of them, so that everyone's being a lot more careful as far as placement, as far as winning and losing, which, an outgrowth of what we have here. So, but it's been just so everybody knows that a lot of some of the junior schedules are still not done. They will be done. We're still pushing teams up and down or in and out with them. But it's been, as bad as we thought it'd be probably. So other than that, everything else is running according to plan. We do plan, and I was talking to Greg before that, we're going to have some, or try to have some, referee meetings in every one of our districts to at least get the refs tuned into some of the changes that have gone on. And this thing that Melissa brought up is a good example. If the referees have to now check and make sure that the ages are proper on them and they do not have any 10-year-olds on the field, that's something that they heretofore haven't had to do. If they see a player on the roster, they're assuming that the player is eligible, right? The ref has never had to vet that roster before. If what Melissa is saying is true, then we're going to have to vet those 2004s and 5s. We don't have to worry about. We don't have a heading league anymore. So 5s, we're safe. It's the 4s now that would be questionable. Some of them maybe. So other than that, I've got nothing else. If anybody has any questions, just shoot them. But you can always email us too. We were responsive to everybody's emails. But I'd be interested, Melissa, what happens this week. We'll go right after Mike and Rosemary, and whether Rosemary can carry the mail or not. We have had to rely on her because her and Mike are the ones that are doing this approval for the kids.
Right, and Rosemary doesn't do anything without Mike's approval, and she is completely swamped with all of this stuff right now.
Really?
completely.
Yeah, so there's no one else. Is there someone else in there that you would recommend that is an expert in this Got Soccer interface?
I've talked to Jonathan a couple of times, and sometimes I can talk to Jonathan, and because Mike's not very good about taking calls directly, and sometimes I'll talk to Jonathan, and he'll say, hang on, Mike's here, I'll go ask him, and he'll be kind of a go-between between me and him, and then every once in a while, Mike will actually pick up the phone and talk to me, but he's very confusing when I speak to him.
Yeah, Mike's careful. I think that's a term. Confusing is probably another term, but he's very careful as far as saying, because I get it, but I mean it's really difficult for me. I have sent him emails, very very precise emails that I wanted a definite answer, so I had it, and I never really get them back like that. I never really.
Correct.
Yes, Paul, that's true. No problem.
You're correct.
And look, I guess he's learned the hard way, probably, that all of us ex-lawyers are after him. But the fact of the matter is, Melissa, that how about Got Soccer itself, Greg? Didn't you call those guys? Did they understand their? Did you find they were pretty good, Melissa? Have you called Got Soccer at all?
I have not called Got Soccer about this, no, because I'm not willing to open up a can of worms at this point. I'm the person actually that opened up the original can of worms with the 2006s, because originally 2006s were being allowed to be put on the rosters, and I had to talk to Alice and talk to Got Soccer and say, wait a second, this is something that needs to be kind of locked down so people can't put these 2006s on the 2005s. So I've done that part, but I'm not going any further with it at the moment.
Well, the Got Soccer guys, the thing about them, Melissa, is they could know. I don't know if they do know. Well, we've gotten some answers about. We had an ineligible player, and we couldn't understand how he ended up on a game day. You know, I mean, it was on a game day roster, but apparently not rostered. They were able to run it all down. They really were a big help. The other thing is they may know where the filters are and what.
Well, first, remember that Got Soccer is a system that everyone in the United States uses, and then some of the features are customizable for each individual state. Until Got Soccer hears from the state of Florida that this is what the needs are, Got Soccer is not going to go in and make any changes. So they have to first get a request from Florida to make the changes. They're not going to do it on their own.
But if they have a filter in place right now, that would be interesting to know that that's already been done. And if you can't get it from Mike and Rosemary, we might be able to find out from them that, yeah, we got a filter. They shouldn't go through. Well, then good.
Paul, I'll take that up with Edgar at Got Soccer tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and Rosemary, let's get the end of that, because that 2004 thing, now we got a while before we start, but I don't want even the smallest chance that a 10-year-old is out on the field with 2004s and is playing.
The thing is, I'd have to get Rosemary or Melinda or somebody like that from the state office on the call with him. Again, he's the Florida contact, but he doesn't have all the rules, all the user rules that he should.
No, but that's the problem. That's what Melissa brought up is that they don't. Yeah. They can't tailor it. So now we've got a system that doesn't stop anything. The system is just allowing all this to happen, and we're assuming the system is somehow protecting us as a league. I'm talking about that. Got Soccer, if they appear on a roster, then FYSA has tacitly approved it because we haven't been stopped from adding them, you know, so that if they can go through, and that's why I said to Melissa, and she corrected me, and she's probably more right than I know. When you are able to roster a child, it doesn't necessarily mean that is an approved move.
Correct, that you're following the rules. Yeah. Right.
Which means that the kid shows up in the field now as a 10-year-old, and we haven't caught him. We haven't seen anything. Been right through, and we are not telling then our referees or whoever they got to check the roster for ages, which is something they've never had to do before. And Merritt told me specifically a couple of weeks ago, they don't, that is not part of what they do automatically. He said, when we see a roster, we're assuming the roster is correct.
Hey, Paul, 1 second, please.
I don't know, baby.
Whoever's got children close by, could you please either mute or have the children move to another room because it's coming through rather loud. Thank you.
All right, so, but Melissa, let's stay with that. And if you learn anything, would you get with Sherry and Greg and let us know so we can save time. And if we find something else, Sherry, you have Melissa's email because you probably got the original one from her.
Yes.
And as we go into this thing, Melissa, if we find out anything, we'll tell you right away.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Old business, we're going to finalize division placement. I think we talked about that. The schedules will be out by mid-September. We should be done by then, hopefully, although, again, we're still getting teams moving around. And there's a lot of unsettled teams, because of this calendar year change is really the problem. They are not certain about who they got and who they don't have and where they want them, and they're kind of second-guessing themselves now. I think next year, guys, we're going to have to put we've been allowing in the past, we have generally returned people's money if we haven't started scheduling. If the schedules haven't been out and everybody working on them, we have returned their money. We're not here to keep people's money. That's not the idea here. However, I think next year we're going to have to put something in that if you don't, if you move after the coaches meeting is over, that there's no deposit, the deposit stays. Because we've had so many changes. Not a lot of dropouts, but we have at Sherry, how many have we had? 5 or 6 dropouts, 7 dropouts?
I would say around maybe 5 or 6.
Okay. And I know there's another 1 or 2 in the works, so.
Yes, correct.
I added the Lions. I know I didn't see it wasn't added today, but they dropped from 14s. And it was because of the coach's son, who was way young. He's going up 2 years. So there's no possibility of that happening. But anyway, so the schedules will be out by mid-December. Sherry will have them. She's been working on them. It's just that every day we're getting changes, and she's bumping it back out to us to try and make some sense out of the divisions. We're trying to make them as equal as possible, and we're trying to minimize the type of travel. But it's just you're in a travel league, it's going to happen, and we're to the point where we can't make it any better unless we have some kind of algorithm, a travel algorithm that we right now don't have. New business website live. Continue to submit ideas for improvement. The website's new. I think it's great though. Sure, myself. I don't know if Steve had some suggestions. You guys got any suggestions at all about the website? Well, about tonight, if you do, email Sherry. But we've added some stuff to it. Kai, I think the things that you gave us, Sherry, you added them on there, did you not?
Yes, I did.
So the links, there's a lot of really excellent links about the rollout rules and all the other things that are on there. So I encourage everybody to dig into that website because there's a ton, and I mean a ton of relevant information on it about a lot of the changes that went on this year. So it's rather than, kind of stumble around in the dark, you can, see someone like Melissa, who's the West Florida registrar is really up on this, but a lot of registrars aren't. And they're going to be stumbling around out there. If you guys can direct them to the website, they can read some of this or link to some of it. It'll really help. The website's got everything we can think of to inform. That's the point of it. It's not designed to recruit clubs or anything else. It's there to service the members that we have now. And get them everything they need to understand this, the complexity of this whole system, and enjoy themselves at the same time. Anything else, Kai? You got anything?
Not at the moment. No.
Alan, how about you? Anybody else got anything? We only had a meeting 3 weeks ago, and I know since then it's been all the schedules. How about you, Ryan?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Sherry, how about you? You're the administrator. Is there anything you can think of that we need to be looking at or talking about?
I mean, me personally, it's just about, buttoning up these divisions so I can run the schedules timely so that everyone has time to make their changes. Other than that, like the senior season is running pretty smooth. As we know, we have the issue with getting game cards in and game scores, but I think we're on top of it a little better than last year. And that's about it. I'm ready to run the schedules, but of course I need to know where we're putting these changed.
Yeah, I just, 2005's changed yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
But they evened out a little bit, so I'll get that. I have a Word document to you, and we're just going to have to go ahead with that one and deal with the changes afterwards. But that league's been particularly bad. How about the fours? You've had some. Well, Melissa may not drop out now, as this turns out.
Right. Yeah.
That would be good.
The changes are mostly on the boys' side. I think I'm ready to run the girls, just probably within the next couple of days.
Yeah.
But
I've got to say, there's a team in FC Tampa that I'm trying to encourage to drop out at this point. I mean, they're going to talk to the guy Monday. They're under-organized, and I'm really unhappy with. I think they can, like get through, but my fear is always that, we get in the middle of the season and drop out. It really is a pain in the ass for everybody. So it's that may be the one. I think they're 14, Sherry. If we get it done, that'll be the last one. But they're weak, and I didn't realize it, and I expressed to them yesterday. I said, really, if you're not sure, don't do it. Drop in a Tarsa. We have a rec travel league, which is good. Plenty of fun playing, and plenty of competition. And then get them organized for a year or so.
Yeah, other than that, and I'm only finding this right now with 2 particular players, so I can't say that it's a problem overall. But I have some senior players that were suspended for various reasons, sent in their proof of service. I've removed their suspension, and then the next day it's back.
Oh, that's what the registrar from West Pasco is referring to, huh?
Yeah, and I cannot for the life of me understand why it keeps coming back into
Well,
that.
as long as you know that, we can get directly to, I know that's extra work, but we can get directly to those people and tell them that they are.
That's what I've done with these 2 particular kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Got Soccer and see if it's a glitch in the system or if the assigner is going in and doing, or not the assigner, the referee. But I don't know why they would keep, adding the suspension after I've repealed it. So I don't know. But I'll sort through that. But other than that, it's pretty much business as usual. It's
the normal mayhem. I guess we had some, but it's so far, and now we've only had a couple matches, really, 2. This will be our 3rd weekend.
Right. And then, of course, the requirement from FYSA for the red card report is a little more extensive than last year. It's very time-consuming.
Yeah, right. Well, see if you can, you can figure that out between you and Greg. Maybe that's something you can switch over I asked at the AGM about it, and you had expressed to me, you said it's on it's available to them. Because I expressed to the AGM, I think we already
have access. Them. Yeah, but
that's not the form they need. What's the issue there?
Well, it's basically what I did last year. You said you have to put it into a spreadsheet. That's no big deal. Reporting who received red cards, how many red cards, etc. But they want a copy of the game report, so you have to go in and copy that, and they want the rosters. So then you have to copy the roster for that as well. So it's just busy work. But
yeah, right, sure. And you just know that stuff. Now it's there if they need it for their protection. I'm sure that's why it's going here. No one's reading that stuff. I guarantee you that.
Well, that's what she explained to me was they want to look to see that we're handing out the correct number of games.
Okay. Well,
that's why they want to review them, but I don't know who is.
Yeah, I'll look. If we can't get simple answers on some of this other stuff, it's the red card.
I just didn't understand why they needed the rosters. Like that takes a lot of time to go in and copy and but whatever. I'll do it.
The other thing is, I'll bet you dollars to donuts every league isn't doing it. You know, we're going to do it, but I mean,
We're current, so we're good.
People don't have the administrative muscle that we have to be able to do this type of thing. I just don't, you know. Well, that's all right. As long as we do it, I appreciate you staying with that. Like I said, if that can morph over into, you know, if you can, you know, work on the schedules and get him stuff, you know, he's willing. So we're.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I think we've been divvying it up pretty good. He's great at, you know, making those phone calls and such during the day. That helps.
Yeah. And he's whacking. He's really helped on this, which we'll go into at the executive committee meeting on this other thing. All right, so that's what. Let's keep moving. And for the good of the game, anybody got anything fascinating out there, guy?
I got a question.
Yes.
This goes back to the 05s playing on the 04 teams. Are you guys firm with allowing the 05s to play on the 04 teams as long as they're 11 at the start of the season?
Not until we find out. Here's the problem, Brian. What we knew was that wasn't going to be, you're not going to be able to do that. In other words, you weren't going to be able to lift them from 5s to 4s. Well, Melissa said she's been able to, so that already opens up a door that we don't know. And then we're saying, how does God Soccer know? When you have a 5, we're assuming that you're going to, if you can put them right on the roster, Brian, then you aren't going to have to ask Strickler for permission, correct? I mean, that's the assumption, right?
Well, it's if they're the way he explained it to us is that as long as they turn 11 before the start of sanctioned games.
Right.
Okay, so in other words, the second the games start, everybody after that, even if they turn 11, can't play.
Right.
I'd like to know that. That would be good because we could probably save some of these, at least one of these other 14 teams that dropped down because they were, because they had a whole bunch of 205s. I mean, they were basically 205s playing up, which is good. They wanted to play full field, et cetera, et cetera. So
I have an 04 team, girls under 13 team that has 05s on it for you guys.
Yep.
So I guess I'm a little bit nervous from this meeting because we've been together since July.
Well, I'll tell you, Brian, we'll have an answer this week. We have to, for guys like you and everybody out there that has teams together. You can't tell. You got to be able to tell these people. I think is properly where you're going to play, what league you're going to be in, or whatever. And if we keep stumbling around, it doesn't help anybody.
Right.
And Melissa, thank God, told us tonight, filled us in on something tonight that we assumed that they were not going to, that God Soccer and Mike Strickler was not going to allow that. Now, Strickler will allow it and God Soccer will meter it. We're fine. The other way around is if God Soccer doesn't meter it, this is why I'm telling you this, God Soccer doesn't meter it. You put them in there and it doesn't check their birthdays, right?
Right.
Then we are in danger of having kids that were 2005s who are Decembers, Novembers, right? Playing in the 2004 league. And we were, up to this point, assured that we weren't going to have to do that. We had no problem with that wasn't going to go through God's Soccer. But it is. If he will allow it, then that means that and God Soccer cannot meter the dates. You know what I'm saying by that? In other words, God Soccer says, God Soccer. How does God Soccer know,
right.
For instance, God Soccer cannot know when we start. So how can it possibly, in my estimation, I'm not asking you this is rhetorical, how can God Soccer possibly know when our season starts to tell you that this player should not be registered?
Right. So you want God Soccer to be able to meter it before you allow it?
If I know that they're not, I'm good with that too. That information then tells me we're out in the Wild West, that now we got 5s in with the 4s and we don't know where they are. So we're going to have to look at every roster right, on the 2004s, as the game says, because Melissa pointed out another good thing. How about the club pass players? They get dropped in a game, they need somebody. The kid is a December birthday, 2005. They drop them in. Got Soccer allows it takes in the player to its roster. The game day roster prints it out. The ref looks at it. Right? And I'm not sure that on the game day roster the birth date is even there. I'm not sure it is.
Hey, Paul, is it too much to ask when I go through these, when I go and meet with these assigners and referees, is it too much to ask that they check the birth date on the card?
Greg, I'm not so sure the birth date appears on the roster. It does on their cards, I'm sure.
I'm talking about on the player card. When they're checking, all they're checking is faces, they should be checking birth dates too.
It's on the roster, and it's also on the game card. It's everywhere. It's on all three pieces.
I didn't, on the game card we got, Greg, I did not see a birth date. But maybe it was not, maybe the one you printed out for me was not complete.
Oh, that may be a setting, because I know in our game cards and the game cards that I've seen, the date of birth and the player ID number are all in there.
Yeah,
so that may be a setting in your game card.
Take a look back at that game card we looked at for the Dynamo and
right. Well,
Pinellas United. I looked for a date. Yes.
I'll take you one step further because I had some 03s on my 01 roster.
Okay.
Some of them were allowed by Mike because of when the birthday were. Some were declined because of the birthday. But when I talked to 2 teams that I played with this weekend, they had guest players added on, and they said, "Oh, you don't have to verify the guest players." And I said, "I think
that's wrong."
Wait a minute, Alex, were they guest players or club pass?
Club pass.
Okay, I was gonna say we don't allow.
That was Melissa's point before, and it's well taken. But hey, Alex.
Yeah.
When you.
It's hard to hear.
Were you able to load those 2000? What were they? 2-year thing. Were you able to load the younger kids into your roster without an issue, or were they prevented and then you had to go to Mike to get them through?
As a matter of fact, the 2 youngers that he declined,
yes,
Soccer did allow me to put them on, and I had to remove them.
So it's reasonable to assume then, and I'm talking to everybody now, and again, rhetoric. It's easy to then assume that if someone isn't up with the rules all the way, forgetting that they're trying to get, they're trying to shove the biscuit past the dog, they could then load them in, have them hit the roster, put them on a game day roster, and then play, and them not, and Strickler never approving them whatsoever.
Correct.
Okay. That's an interesting problem. How does a ref know that Strickler approved them or didn't approve them?
At the AGM, I got up because of this argument, because I said the problem is go into the calendar year, but you're using the school year rules for playing up. Very confusing. My whole argument.
Oh, I agree.
I got to call the parents, and the parents are looking up the rule, and they're saying, well, the rule says this, but that's not what we're going by for the playing up.
I agree. I mean, I think that and I asked Mike at the meeting we had very specifically if they could, is there any way to simplify it? And his answer was no.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that, because I said, you're going back to school year. He had explained why. When he explained it to me, I got it a little, I started to dimly see what they were getting at. He said you could have a 6th grader playing against a freshman in high school. He did bring that example up, and certainly he's absolutely right by the ages that could happen. So that's why they put in the school year thing. But Alex, the thing that we assumed all along, like the 6s, you can't load a 6 into 5s. We know that. We're fairly certain of that. Your registrar can't get them in.
That is correct. That is correct.
So you got to go to Strickler to get them on. But all these other age groups, now the 4s, 5s to 4s, that's not the case.
Yeah, I ended up in a similar situation with my U13 team. I had a player that, looked like they fit the bill. They were only playing up 1 year.
Yeah.
And they got declined because their birthday was in December.
Yeah, but they were. Why did you put them? Why did you even go to Strickler if you had them on a roster?
Because
you knew better, apparently. Right?
I knew better, and I read it. And what I read said I was supposed to ask.
Yeah.
That was that weird email that we all got.
Yeah.
It had specific dates in it, but it also had that thing. You had to read down a few paragraphs. And when I called up and asked, they said absolutely. And I'm like, well, that's not what this rule says. And that's what happened to me, because I have a girl, I have a parent and a girl in tears because I can't play with the girls.
Yeah, no. I agree. I mean, the kids have been playing together all these years, and now all of a sudden we're separating them. Well,
the argument was they weren't more than a year, playing up more than 1 year. They were only playing up 1 year, but because their birthday ended up outside.
Well, because they're in a heading league. It's just that unusual heading thing, and it's really well. We'll find out. We'll penetrate that. We know all the questions now. We think we do anyway, and we'll have an answer for everybody, hopefully. And Melissa, if you find out something, tell us too. So we all can. I mean, at least the fear I have is for the league more than anything else, because I know that. If we aren't watching this and one thing happens and it's unintended, it's still going to end up, someone's still going to end up saying, well, you knew the rules and you didn't catch them, they didn't follow them. And I don't want that to happen without some effort on our part to make sure it doesn't. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Thanks, though, Alex. I appreciate that, because that's more information we need to masticate.
I apologize. I had a game down in Northport today. It's a nice drive up.
All right.
I have one last thing, Paul. I don't know if it would apply to the folks online right now, but just a reminder, I can't even tell you how many game reschedules through the game change section, and I finally have completed all of those. However, there's multiple ones that are showing a field conflict. So I've been communicating back through the chat feature. So just a reminder to please check the chat. If you've put in a game reschedule and I haven't approved it, there's a reason. Because now I'm current and I'm caught up. So it's not that I haven't seen it yet.
And Sherry, one thing about that, why she brings that up is we had a little snit last year that it was with Brian's group, and we switched the game, and there was a game on the field. So we didn't do anything because we were waiting for Brian or somebody at Temple Terrace to tell us what to do. Now, we all know that they have multiple fields out there. So when they schedule field 1 at 1 o'clock and there's another match, we all just know that they got other fields and put them on 2 or 3. The problem in GOT Soccer, though, is very specific. Sherry could not put the game on that field. The format, the machine GOT Soccer, though, the software will not take it. And so it sits out there, and it's a potential problem because the game is not accepted because we don't have an alternate field. It sounds crazy because, some of these complexes have 8 and 10 fields. So we know there's other fields out there, but we can't enter it. And I don't think, Sherry, if you had to, I guess you could switch the field. But then when someone shows up on field 2 and says, well, we don't have a field 2, they'll say, who did that,
I could randomly pick a field, but I wouldn't be able to tell.
I realize why you can't do that.
I need somebody to tell me that field is open.
It's a real weird thing about this software. So if and I appreciate you pushing on that, Sherry, because last year that was a real bone of contention with 2 teams. We got so late that we couldn't reschedule them without finding them or something. We got them in a situation just because we didn't continue to find out what field it's on.
Right. So just check your chat, and then of course I try to email too, but that's the fastest way for me to communicate back.
That's a odd thing about the system. We were going to talk about that at the coaches meeting. I don't think I did get to it. It's a very technical thing, but it's really gets in the way of these reschedules. some of them, you know. All right, somebody please make a motion to adjourn, and we'll go to the executive committee right away.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that sounds great. And, all right, so that's it. We're going to go to executive committee. Everyone's welcome, I guess, to sit in if you want to.
Paul, I would like to say something. This is Andy Ortiz. I'm the DOC for the North Lakeland Youth Soccer. The main reason why I wanted to dial in is one, to listen to some of the discussion, especially with the 04 and the 05, because we're running with the same situation as well.
All right.
I got suspended one game because of a referee that came on to our field, I think 2 weeks ago. So, and I just want to make sure that we try to have that person come into our club, because the way he came on was very negative and very disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, I read your email. I didn't realize it's you. I mean, it's now you're here, and I commiserate with you.
Yeah.
The issue we have now, our assigners will know that. The problem we have is that we have not few, but we don't have hundreds and hundreds of guys that we can throw at it. Sometimes he may be the last guy left, either that or you don't have a match, unfortunately. And it's we really can't, we because no one would have, I wouldn't have, when I was coaching, I would have had 10 guys. I wouldn't have had ref if I could. Well, because personalities sometimes don't work. And let's face it, some guys want to. Some referees may push your buttons, and they may know they're pushing your buttons, and it's not fair of them. They're like everybody else. They've got moods and personalities. The issue is we won't say to you, yeah, we'll never have them there again, but we'll pass that on to our assigner. That's as good as we can do. But I can't ever promise, because if you see him back at the fields, don't say, hey, I said you couldn't come to the fields, because if you're going to be part of the league, it's who that assigner has. And out by you're out east. Am I correct?
You're correct. Yeah.
There may be less of a pool out there than there is in the center, in Pinellas and Hillsborough, in that area. And it may be more difficult to work around that. I'm not saying we won't try. I agree, and again, the referees, we go into the sum at the meeting. They're not all perfect by any matter of means. The issue we have, of course, is that we can't conduct the matches without them. Otherwise, we really got chaos. When the kids can call the game, and we're thinking of having the parents call the game. And it just doesn't work well. So the ref is the only guy we got out there to at least conduct the game. But are they perfect? Nah, But we will pass that along to the assigner, that the ref is not a preferred ref for your complex.
If you could, that would be a great.
That's all we can do, because the assigner will come back to us and say, hey, what do you want me to do? I don't have any refs for their matches. And don't think someone wouldn't do that on purpose and say, whoa, I don't have any more refs. So it's either this ref or nobody, and we're member oriented. In other words, you're a member, so you deserve to get treated like one.
Yeah.
And we'll attempt to do that,
And I would really appreciate that if at all possible, that's one of those cases. And the other thing, that we had one of our players that got a double yellow on an away game last week. His name is Tyler. He plays for the U16 boys team on our club, but we have not received any information if he's going to be suspended or not. So I don't know.
Sherry or Greg,
I'm not sure I've gotten anything on that. Do you have the game number?
I do not. I was told by the president of our league earlier today before I dial in, and I just recently sent her a text message asking for that information. But she has.
The first thing is, from the referees, if we don't get a report, in a timely manner. We can't get it out to you in a timely manner. But he would not then be in any trouble if he played and we hadn't have said anything. But that being said, with 2 yellows, and Greg and Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, the safe thing to do is have him stay out a game and put it on a game card, because with 2 yellows he is gonna serve. Correct.
And one of the things that happened yesterday, he didn't play on the home game that we had.
Yeah, you should have gotten him in there as not playing for that reason.
Yeah, and I don't think it was notated on the game card.
That's the biggest issue we have, is trying to get those game cards, get the information from them that's accurate, because this red card thing is another thing that in a league with 500 teams is really critical.
Yeah.
And we work at it,
Yeah.
but it's not a perfect system yet, like everything else,
And I served my suspension yesterday, just to let you guys know.
All right.
Well, Coach, I don't know if you're aware, but on the USA website, under the coaches section, there's a place where you can upload the proof that you sat out, so we can get that cleared up.
Okay.
And also a place to notify us when your player does get a card. That triggers for me to start looking or reaching out to the ref if they don't send the information to us. So make sure that if you can fill that information, then that's how we know about it.
Andy, what was the game date?
Greg, I don't even have that information, to be completely honest.
The last match would have been the 27th, right?
Yes.
27th or 28th, U16. Who did you play?
I don't know.
Well, we can pull them off.
I apologize. I should have gotten all that information prior to this.
All right.
What was the player's name?
Tyler is his first name. I don't even have his last name.
Last name again, please.
I don't even have that. I sent the president a text message asking for that information, and she has not replied.
All right, I'll see what I can dig up tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that's all I have, guys. Thank you for listening to me. Again, I did touch the ref. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did. I was showing him. And I didn't no malice or anything like that. But,
yeah, that was the one thing. Don't do that again.
I will make sure that will never happen.
If he falls down and starts rolling around, you're gonna have a problem.
Yes. So I do apologize for that.
And everybody in this thing, the ref, no matter how deranged he may be or seem, is right. He's gonna 99% of the time, it's gonna be his monologue that's going to get believed, not yours. I just because that's the way this works. So and it goes all the way to actually, in some manner, there is actually a state law, and it's a felony to touch an official, a youth sports official. So I mean, it's that. It can be that crazy to do that. We're not. I mean, nothing's been said about it, but when you talk to them, it's like put your hands behind your back and call him sir.
And again, Paul, one of the things that I did with him during the halftime, I went up to him very respectfully and I said, "Ref, but you think that you are not calling certain calls?" And I felt that the other team's goalie was keeping the ball a little too long, especially because they were winning. So very respectfully, I just said, just keep an eye on her. And he just went like rugged his shoulder and said, I don't think she is. In my mind, I think she's keeping the ball for 4 minutes, not 6, or 4 seconds.
Yeah, for
6.
4 seconds.
So, but very sarcastically, he said.
Well, some of those guys, I mean, they just don't like to. They don't like to.
They don't like to be even point that.
No,
as a coach, I'm just looking out for my team.
We have a ref, a very high placed ref in the Florida, the FSR, and he's his interpretation of things is very strict. At least there's not a lot of bend, and I think that's what you attract. I mean, the guys that really will do this thing. Got that, so
yeah.
We'll note all that, and Greg will look into we'll try and get Tyler squared away tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys.
All right.
No problem.
Can you get the minutes up there with the executive committee, Greg?
That's pretty much it right there. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
No, we just want to accept the minutes of the last meeting quick.
Yeah, I gotta go find them again. Hold on.
All right. Hey, you guys, we still have 3 or 4 people left. Kai, you still here? We still got Kai and
Yeah, I'm still here.
Alan, you still in? I haven't heard Alan. I heard Alan's voice early on, but I haven't heard him since. All right, Brian. We're just going to look into this one ineligible, this one kid that's ineligible, Brian, and we'll be on our way.
Fine. Again, it's
All
kind
right,
of feedback
take it
here,
easy.
so.
All right. Someone want to make a motion to accept the executive committee meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah. Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's approval, protests, no hearings, no old business, new business. This week, as far as I know, unless there's somebody has something else, we did have one ineligible player play at Kai. It was against your club, and it was the 27th, other 20th.
Is that the only, now, is that the only game that he played that he wasn't supposed to play in?
Yes.
Yeah, Greg, I guess it was Greg or Sherry, but I mean, Greg ran down to the final thing, trying to figure this out. And I think we know now 99% of what we're going to know. The kid, and I'll go through this, Greg, unless you want to.
No, knock yourself out.
This is a Hispanic kid who's got a hyphenated last name. The game card in your match appeared as his last name was Castro. His first name is what's the spelling?
Capafano or something like that.
Yes. Okay. So it came across on the game card, Kai, as a new player, right? New player, Eugenio Castro. No record of him anywhere. No, nothing wrong. Eugenio Castro -Simon, however, was held to be in bad standing at Plant City since the end of 2014 because he owed him like $800. So he was not eligible to play Eugenio Castro-Simon. Now, so on the 31st or the 30th, so he plays the first match as Castro. He doesn't play the next match, and a day after that, or 2 days after that, FYSA reinstates him. The assumption is that somebody paid Plant City. He did, they did, whatever. And according to somebody, I think the coach, they had sent the money and thought that the money they had repaid Plant City, and they didn't realize they hadn't. So the next match, Epifino, whatever the first name is, and I apologize for everybody out there that I can't pronounce it, is dropped. Epifino Castro is dropped from the roster. And Eugenio Castro-Simon is added to the roster. Now, he can be added to the roster. He's now eligible. He's now in good standing, and he's back on the team, okay? Now, when he played against you, and he's the same kid. Greg went into Got Soccer, pulled them both, and it's no doubt about it, it's the same face, same child. So, and then Dynamo doesn't, they're not arguing that he is the same kid. So we know he's the same guy, and therefore he was ineligible for your match. Therefore, we're suggesting or saying that match should be reversed, and the Dynamo team should lose the match 3-0. You know, they
How did just because I didn't even know this took place until Plant City.
Yes, the guy from Plant City
How
actually.
did he find out about that this kid played?
Well, he had played at Plant City. The kid had played at Plant City for the same coach, apparently, that's now at the Dynamo, same guy. So he probably knew that he was playing because he's in high school and he's got friends or whatever, you know, and said, well, he's playing on the Dynamo now. He's okay. So, however he figured it out, it probably isn't too far because that is the club that he left and owed the money to. Now, he didn't play FYSA affiliations at all the next season. So he's out a whole year now, right? 2015, he doesn't show up. So, you know, just assuming he wasn't playing in an FYSA, maybe he played U.S. Club Soccer, I don't know.
So he doesn't show up under either name that he used?
No, 2015, because he's still in bad standing from 2014. He hasn't been reinstated in all of 2015 by FYSA. So he's not on a roster. He couldn't get on a roster. Now, he could have played as Castro, I don't know. But when we saw my question was, how did a kid get on a game card? How did he get in the game? Because when they entered the kid's name, they might have looked. And again, we really don't think it's the registrar from Dynamo or the head coach called Greg and explained to him that, you know, they didn't know any of this was going on. So I make out the card. I have a hyphenated last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hand it to my registrar. I'm not saying this happened, but this is a plausible explanation. I hand it to the registrar. The registrar, knowing that in the Spanish name, the first name is the father's last name. That's really the kid's last name. Enters it as Castro and can't find him in the pool. Right? He should be in the player pool. Can't find him in the player pool. So she just registers him as a player. Now, our question is, and we haven't had answered, is did they present a birth certificate, and did they have to? You know, that's another question that Greg and I are working on separately as far as USA even. So he gets in, and they realize that he's not paid Plant City yet. Now, how they know that, I don't know. Somebody said something, maybe. And Plant City all of a sudden gets paid. Maybe that was in the works. According to them, it was. And it finally got to them. They got paid. They dropped the thing. And when they put them back into the system, somehow the system found the old player and was able to upload him. So we're going to send all of that information to FYSA. We're not saying that they did anything that it wasn't a series of mistakes or misunderstandings, but there's no doubt about that he was ineligible for the match that he played in, and that match needs to be forfeited.
Paul, just so you know, you've got Mike and Shane from Tampa Dynamo on the call here.
Is Mike is Mike the coach that called you?
Shane.
No, Shane did.
Shane called me.
Okay. Shane, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
When I described that whole thing the way, I mean, that's what we know because we went through that's the GOT soccer part of it. And
right.
We're not accusing you guys. They're gonna forfeit. That team is gonna forfeit that match because the player was clearly ineligible when he played.
Right.
I'm not gonna. All I'm doing is sending the information to FYSA because they require that for this.
Right.
I'm not pushing to say you intended to do it or anything else because it's confusing enough with the hyphenated last name and getting the money and getting it back and then him getting FYSA approval to play right away. So all of that, the money could have been on the way to Plant City and the coach assumed that it was paid, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, he's paid. He's good. So here, fill this out. And I'll give it to the registrar. The registrar and the coach are not sitting in some room. The registrar grabs it, comes up with the last name of Castro, which is the proper last name of this child. If he doesn't insist it be hyphenated, if you pick up a Hispanic name, we all know that the first name is the father's last name, and that would be his Social Security name, if we want to call it that, or license. When your registrar went in to find Castro, he's not there. So naturally, it's very simple to assume that it's a new player. They put him in as a new player. He went through and boom, comes up on a game card. So I don't, there's a series of mistakes there that are very possibly innocent. If they aren't, I'm not willing to push anything to FYSA saying these guys did this or that, and that's not what's going to happen. I got to send the information in. We know when he signed up, when he didn't, when he was okay, and now he's back on the roster and he's the same kid. Mm-hmm. How that happened, we don't know. We don't care. We're not going to do. We don't have the. It's just not in our rules or bylaws to do anything more than forfeit the match, which we know that's an easy call, and that's FYSA. I think the rules are 2015 A&E or something like that, and then 206. Sure. I put it into the email that I sent to Greg or the thing, so we'll have that when it goes to FYSA, and we'll copy you guys if you wish.
Yeah, I would. I think we would want to be copied on it if you don't mind.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and we're not disputing the forfeit or anything. It's unfortunate we found out. So we found. I talked to Dave.
Yeah, I think Dave's a good guy to talk to and say, hey, look, this thing's so. We just got to cover our own asses and report why it's why they're ineligible. What we found, boom. Yeah. And past that, guys, I'm not interested personally, or we're not interested in assuming that there was any skullduggery or intent or anything else, because it didn't go on very long, and it was a very confusing situation with the last names like that, and the payment going to Plant City. To this point, we don't know if Plant City got paid or FYSA just got tired of keeping them out. That's not our concern. FYSA has reinstated him. That's all I'm worried about. He's good. He's reinstated. He's on the roster, and he's going to play. The first match he played under the wrong name, and he was ineligible at that point.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cut and dry. It's cut and dry. That's pretty much how it went. I spoke to Greg.
He's the national team player, is he? Is that a?
No, he's very good. His brother was. Yeah, he's a good player, but the rules are the rules, and that's
the only reason you'd see someone feeling crazy is the kid's so good that.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I kind of found the series of errors as well, and sent those to our president as well. So those were documented.
It covers everybody just in case, and we've got to do it to cover our own butts because it's our job to enforce FYSA's rules because we're an affiliate.
Sure.
And so we're just going to cover ourselves. But again, we're going to send it next week to say, here's what we did, here's what we found, and nothing else. No editorializing on our part.
Right. Okay.
And between us, I mean, I don't care. Actually, I don't think this thing didn't go on all season. I don't think the kid is a murderer or anything else.
Yeah.
And so it's we're just going to let it sit there, and we're trying to get kids to play soccer here. Actually.
Yeah. This kid, I think, been
this thing if we can.
Yeah, I think that's what we want as well. And fortunately, it's completely cleared up with. I know Plant City was paid.
We have so many things going on with the calendar rules and all this other stuff.
Of course.
That this is really going to be an interesting year for this for these problems.
Right. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to forfeit that match, and we'll forward that to FYSA. We'll also copy you, Greg. Have you got their email addresses?
Somewhere. I'm sure. Shane, I don't know if I have Shane's or not.
I'll send it over, Greg. It's no problem. I'll send it over.
Yeah. Make sure we got him so it's easy. Greg can just bounce it when he does it. We'll just CC you guys.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Sherry.
Yes.
That won't come in a red card. That's something outside of that we're going to have to report to FYSA as far as the forfeit, correct?
Well, I don't think you would have to report that to FYSA, other than what you already discussed that you're sending.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
we'll just change it in Got Soccer.
Right.
We'll just update the game and, put in 3-0.
I just wanted to, I'm going to tell them we took our, from this meeting where I'm assuming we're going to go ahead and forfeit that match.
Mhm.
That's up to the board, actually, not up to me. And then we'll tell them this is what we took. We forfeited this game. We found he, was ineligible for the one match. So, yeah, I go back to the problem we had a year ago or 2 years ago where somebody at FYSA was came back and said, you guys needed to do this and tell us all this stuff. So I'm just covering my own asses and our league's asses, just saying, here's what we did. Here's what we
yeah. I mean, I think it's part of the
we had the guys from that Braden River break-off team that had the kid playing that they couldn't identify, if you remember. That went to FYSA also, but that actually went to FYSA. They actually, I guess, did something, went further. But we passed that information on to them, as I remember, after our meeting, so. So
now, Paul, do you know if it goes to like a review process, or
No,
they're just getting?
no,
Yeah, okay.
Not that I know of. Again.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if we need to
Dave,
follow up.
Dave's the VP. I mean, Dave and those guys could do it. All we're doing is send it over that we reverse this match because we had an ineligible player and we know they were ineligible. There's no doubt about it, and everybody knows that. It's not a question of whether there's ineligible. And here's the proof we have, and boom,
Okay.
My own self, I can't imagine it goes any further. But we had a team 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago, Sherry? 3 years ago, where we just so happened to have a film. Somebody had a CD of the match, and the coach could not identify the kid on the field. We didn't have a card for or anything. I mean, and the coach couldn't identify him. Well, it was that was, and I think eventually they might have given the team manager and the coach a year each or something suspension because it was obvious that the kid was put in a match without having signed him up or anything. He was just in there playing. This isn't the same case. I mean, this isn't even close to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I want to cover with FYSA that we looked into it. We did our duty as fiduciaries on their behalf, and we did find that Rule 201 A and E and 202 the roster wasn't right, so we're vacating one match.
Sure.
Not recommending. They're not doing anything else.
Great. Thank you.
No, well, it's it's what's fair is fair. So and we'll go from there. But I can't even tell you to keep an eye out because things like that I guess can happen. It's just it's unfortunate. I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, you seem to be a fairly well put together team, and one match one way or the other, winning or losing, seems to be not in there. They seem to be kind of getting ready for bigger and better things this year.
Yeah, no, that's not even. We don't even. Yeah, not even a question.
Not going to end their life like they're not going to walk around all week saying, "Oh my God, we lost that match."
Not at all.
All right. Anything else, guys? Anything from the board as far as that goes? We got all of this information, and we'll send it to all of you too, Greg. I don't think you have to. We'll send it to everybody on the board also. So you'll be clumped in, but it's an open and shut thing. I think we can just let it go.
Yeah. When I just want to make sure that you won't meet as a board until I've already gotten a meeting or two set up with the assigners and the referees. I just want.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead. Just stay with Sherry and myself for budgetary reasons. You might need some money to.
I'm not worried. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. What I want to make sure is
we're trying to get to Merit also. Merit will give us the people who will run those.
Understood. What I want to make sure, though, is that the board is in agreement that we that if I can suggest to the assigner to have the referees check birth dates.
Well, I think we're going to have to. Well, let's talk to Merritt. I mean, I don't know if that's part of the purview, but I think in this case, what we learn this week will be very important towards that. I wouldn't say anything about it right now because we're not in that junior schedule yet.
Well, no, but we're not going to have a chance to get to these referees again, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, no. I would, by the time the first referee meeting happens, Greg, we'll have known what this 2005 to 2004 transfers looks like.
Okay.
We'll have an answer.
All right, cool.
I can't imagine that you're not going to have to ask them just to take a peek at it because
that's what I'm saying.
Soccer's doing it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've coached enough games to have referees not even ask for the pass.
I'm more concerned with having that as a not a rule, but something that we have mentioned. In other words, that's something we have told everybody, so that we're covered as far as those matches go. That we don't have that, or we're attempting to prevent it. We're actively working to prevent it.
Well, seriously, I've gone to a game and the referee said, just keep the passes in the pocket.
No, I know.
I don't need to see them. So, all right.
But that's not, again, Greg, his failure to do that is not a league problem if he has been instructed to do it.
True.
You know what I'm saying? In other words, our instructions are what they are. If someone doesn't follow them, we aren't there to find that out. If we find it out in some way, we're going to have to, we shouldn't have that ref work for us.
Right.
Brian, can you please ask for a break on this thing? No,
Just make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Please.
Second.
All right. Anybody got anything else before we adjourn? It was really good seeing you guys again. All right.
Take care, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. Let's go. All right.